Good day, good morning, good evening to each and every one. If you're listening to this video and you're on the road traveling to work, please be safe. If you're at home, relaxing, let's enjoy it. Let's get into it. All right, so this week we had some activity in our portfolio, things that were a little bit unexpected, but were very welcome. For instance, I didn't realize my maintenance requirement, my maintenance ratio was lowered. Someone made a comment to one of my short videos, and that's when I noticed that it had gotten lowered. I bought some SOFI. I increased my position in MSTY, and I increased my position in ULTY. All right, so we're going to discuss those things about Coney, some other things that I have here that was brought to my attention. So right now, it is 12:20 Eastern Standard Time and 11:20 Central Standard Time. All right. So we got some things together and we're going to go over here. All right. So right now, you see my investing account is at $77,879. It shows that right now, at the present time, that we're up $2,100. So on Friday, our account was at $75,818 Friday night when I made my last short video, I believe it was. All right, so we're up $2,100 right now as we speak. So we're gonna see what's going on here. All right, so live, we're up $214 today. As I stated, we're at almost $2,100 up for the day. For the week, we're up $12,399. The past week, excuse me. The past month, we're up $28,186. For the past 3 months, we're up $48,315. Year to date, we're up $26,456. For the past year, we're up $48,610. And all time, we're up $41,800. All right, let's check our buying power here. Our buying power is at $10,178. My total margin is at $111,610. My total margin used is at $101,431, leaving $10,178 available to use. All right. All right. So our margin status has a status of low risk. Shows that my buffer is at $27,930 for 37.6%. And if I was to make a withdrawal, that withdrawal would be $49.17. All right. All right. So something else is here. All right. So I noticed that my interest rate has been lowered. And I don't know if that has a fact. I don't know if that's a factor into my maintenance ratio being lowered, but we're going to read the email they sent to me later on. All right, so let's view the rates here. So, according to this, I was at 5.75%. And as always, if you're using margin and you have gold membership, the first $1,000 is free of interest. So you can literally borrow money and not pay a penny for it. All right. So it says from 50K up to 100K, the interest rate is at 5.5%. And for anything over 100K to 1 million is 5.25%. That means they're not. So last Friday, if you go back and watch that short on Friday, about halfway through that video, I showed you the investing amount, which was 75,000, right? Then I showed you the stock and ETF amount. That amount was like $177,000, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm assuming they're taking that into account, because now my interest rate has been lowered to the 5.525%. I thought they was doing it on the investing amount, but now look like they're doing it on the total amount borrowed on margin and the value of my positions, which is like 77,000 plus 101,000. All right, so that's great. So that means I don't have to pay as much money on my interest, which I wasn't paying much in the begin with, but hey, every penny counts. All right, so the daily interest is shown at $14.64. All right. Okay. All right, so let's get some of my positions here. Let's see what we got here. First up is good old Coney. All right, so it was a little puzzling for me to figure out why my buffer had gone up so significantly, right? But if we look at my Coney, which right now is at $9.96, and if we go back, a month? So in a month's time, well, let's go with last week and see what happened last week. So last week it went up 77 cents. All right, it actually probably would have been more than that, but Friday, I know Friday we had a little pullback because of the talk about the tariffs. All right, but for the past month, Tony's up $2.20. All right, so when you see that times the number of shares I have, that's a huge amount, right? My market value right now stands at $99,600. It shows that I'm currently up $1,400. My total return stands now at a negative $14,308. And I think this is the biggest reason why my buffer is up so significantly, right? Because when I looked at Coney, I went and looked at, where is it, that stock analysis? Yes. So take a look at this chart. So the last time for me, because I've had Coney for a while, of course I bought shares since then, but going back to last year of November the 11th, according to stock analysis, Coney was at $19. The prior time that was higher was July the 22nd at $21.02, and it went down, and then in November it made a return. All right. But since November the 11th or 12th of last year, it has consistently gone down. And even from the lowest point was April the 8th. Everybody ought to remember that. It came down to $6.76, right? And so since that time, I've been spending various opportunities to lower my cost average, because my thinking was, okay, I think for a second I have to go back and look at some of my old videos on Coney, but I remember it being at 17 average cost, and then my average cost was around 15. It's the last I think I can remember. And then I just gradually started, taking advantage of the lows, right? And the strategy was, since I was already negative, is to bring down my average cost. And my thinking was that my hopes were that I could have gotten Coney down to $10, or somewhere between $10 and $11. And I ended up getting it down to $11.39, I believe, right? So the thing is, if Coney should happen to return to $20 or $23 like that, right, then I will have what they call a 100% return, right? They call a home run. So what I could literally do is sell half of my position, which will be 5,000 shares, and I will have all my money that I invested in Coney since the initial time, right? And I would have all the dividends that I've made since then, right? So I could take that money out, a huge profit. I think it would be like $111,000. So half of that, we're talking maybe 53, 56, 55,000, something like that, $56,000 in profit, right? And we could take that and wait for Coney to come back, or put it in another position, or just cash that baby out, right? I'm still be collecting dividends on 5,000, right? So that was my strategy, because I've seen things go down and time pass, and because they went down, my psychological thinking at that time, oh man, but then I was like, oh, it made a recovery, and I was like, man, had I had the courage to buy it while it was down and lower my average cost, and it returned to its previous price range, I'm like, man, that I would have had profit. So that's just a learning thing that I've learned to do. And I like company from the begin with. And once they got added to the S&P 500, boom, I had to get in it. All right, let's get back to this thing here. All right, so as we're saying, this right here was a negative 32, 34, and I think I see it got down as far as a negative 42,000 in Coney. And like I said, my average cost is $11.39 for 10,000 shares. And several, so, oh, okay, so Coney is at 25% maintenance ratio. I like that. So another thing, that literally the night or the day before, I'm looking at Misty at 70%. I'm looking at some of these other positions like AIYY, AMW at 40 and 45%. I'm like, man, I'm like, I can't even bring down my average cost because the maintenance requirement would take up so much of my buying power. And I'm like, this is when you want to buy, when it's down low, and bring down your average cost and build your position up at the same time. In my opinion, everybody don't feel that same way, right? So what I did, I had made up my mind, as you all know, a couple of weeks ago, I poured out $6,000 and went and paid a credit card bill off completely, right? So my thinking was, okay, I may have to skip doing that one credit card bill and pull money out of Robinhood and transfer it to my bank and then transfer it to Charles Schwab and buy Misty while Misty was in the $21 range, right? And some of these other positions that I have that I wanted to get at a lower price. So that was going to be my strategy. And I was like, I think I'm going to do that. But I do want to pay that another credit card bill off. But I still would need some dividends to get my buffer up because as you saw earlier, it was only at 4,900. So, but that was a strategy that I was getting ready to start and thinking about or implementing. And literally the next day, unbeknownst to me, Robinhood had lowered my maintenance ratio. And once I saw that, I said, okay, I won't pull the money out of Robinhood. I'm going to actually buy some Misty and ULTY. And looked like right after I bought Misty started to move up. So it was a good timing. And ULTY, both, I got them both at 1,000. All right, let's take a look at Coney right quick and see my last dividend payout, even though it was a while. All right, so the last time was 8,000 shares at 53 cents for 42.83. All right. All right, so Misty currently now is $22.47. My market value is at $22,470. We're currently up $390, and our total return is a negative $32.36. Average cost is at $25.70. By adding the shares to get it to 1,000, we was able to lower it from $27 and whatever it was now down to 25. I would have liked to gotten it down to 22, but I guess I planned on 1,000. I think it might have been 1,200 shares, so I would have had to buy some more to have gotten it down. But anyway, we got 1,000. That's solid. All right. So let's see here. Last dividend we got for Misty was July the 10th. Nope, that's when I just bought those. All right, it's right here, July the 7th. 751 shares at 124 yield me $390.10. All right, now let's talk about some of the dividends that we got. So we got dividends for XPay is at 53.75. Market value is at 5.75. We have a positive $21. Average cost is 55.77 for 10.7 shares. Let's see here. Our dividends, July the 10th. Nope. That's this got reinvested. Here we go. Well, this is actually the dividend. And I know I thought we got paid on X pay. Let's see here. Reinvested. Oh, well, yeah, it was $10. Yeah, it was $10.08 and it got reinvested. So here it is, 10 shares, 95, 10.08. All right, next we have Round Hill YBTC 49.99 is the current price. You can see it's up 122 now, and that's because Bitcoin is rising right now. All right, so market value is at 51.62. We're up $2.57 for 47.50. Dividends on it at 1 share, so that gave us 31 cents for 32 cents. Next, we got Tesla. It's currently is at 774. Market value is at 13.93. We're down $718. 11.73 is our average cost for 180 shares. The Tesla. All right, July 11th, we had 180 shares for 39 cents for $69.71. All right, next we got YBit. Currently at 1080. Market value is at 669. We're down $206 for 62 shares for an average cost of 14.13. Let's see here. We got paid July 11th. 62 shares at 38 cents gave us 23.63. All right, next we got YieldMax. YieldMax is currently at 13.72. $686, negative 93.28 return on that. Average cost is 15.59 for 50 shares. All right, right here, July 11th, 50 shares, 13.47, 13 cents, basically 14 cents, $6.74. Next, we got 624. We increased our position in this one, so our market value is at 62.40. We're down 11.50. Average cost is 7.39 for 1,000 shares. And we got paid July 11th for 400 shares, basically 10 cents for $38.40. All right. Robinhood. You can see it's up $99.20. Our market value is $5,952. We're up $365 for an average cost of $93.09 for 60 shares. Last time we got paid for Robinhood. Let's see if we got it here. July nope. That's when we bought some shares. Nope. Well, doesn't show our dividends. I have to go to more history. But anyway, we're gonna keep going. All right, I was looking at the wrong one. That was Robinhood. They don't pay dividends. At least, yeah. I was Hui. That's what I thought I was looking at. Okay, it's at $71.90, $791 of market value. We're up $102 for this one. The average cost is $62.60. All right, now let's check the dividends. All right, so June the 27th. So we're going to get paid for this coming week, right? I believe so. That and Palantir, I think, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so 10 shares at $6.50 per share gave us $65.03. At 66.86. Market value is at 15,377. We're up $149 for average cost of 66.21. 230 shares. And that was plated. Let's see what we got here. Since we're here. Dividends. Here we go. 215 shares at $3.26 yield us $700.90. So we increased that. Palantir. Y'all, I mentioned on this one and Robinhood, Stockhood, that I was going to probably swing trade these two. So Palantir right now is $143. Market value is $17,160. We're currently up $2,151 in profit. Average cost is $125. We have 120 shares. We would like to increase this position, but we'll see. All right, this is our Charles Schwab account, dividends. You see here, I don't have too many shares. I got 32 in Coney, 6 in Carvana, 23 Amaro, 16 Misty Plady, 5 SMCY, 15 OT10 Yeet. All right, so we are up in this account, $181 in profit. Our dividends, I think I got that listed here. All right, so far in the month of July, we've captured $62.18 in this account for dividend on these positions so far. So we're halfway through the month. All right. All right. Next, let's take a look at Bitcoin while we're here, right? Let's hit refresh. All right. So Bitcoin showing 121 and ETH is up over 3,000. All right. So next, let's hit our Excel sheet. Excel sheet. All right. Something else I want to do before we hit the Excel sheet. Let's do this. I may be jumping out of sequence here. All right. So who was this? I believe this was Nuggy Soft Truth. He said, man, he said that's, I can't say the word he used, but he said something about my account must have got some special privileges because of the amount of money I have in my account. He said because his MSTY showed that it was still at 70% maintenance, right? And like I said, at the time I didn't know it had dropped, but I checked my email and I was like, okay, this is what he was talking about. So they said, hey, we've made improvements to how maintenance requirements. This is an email from Robinhood. We made improvements to how maintenance requirement ratio are calculated to better reflect each customer's portfolio and total maintenance requirements. To see how this update may have changed your requirements, visit margin status detail. On the margin status detail page, you will be able to see the total maintenance requirement broken down by position. You'll also be able to see the maintenance ratio for each position. All right. And this was also what they sent to me. Can I shrink that any further? Nope. Can't shrink it any further. But anyway, they said we've updated how we calculate margin maintenance requirement. So this is what the email I got here, right? All right, so let's see what else was in here that I wanted to go over. All right, so this is what I wanted to go over here. This is these have been out maybe a few weeks. These are round hill weekly pays in addition to the ones that I list on the Wednesday mornings. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to include these if I want to show and start displaying them. Come up with some sort of way. I have to rearrange the whole thing to make it shorter. All right. Because it takes a while to get that prepared for you all Wednesday mornings. But here, if you all can see this, let's move over to the next slide and see if it shows it better. Oh, I guess it was just that one. Okay. All right. Let's zoom in. So we got Round Hill Apple. It paid 75 cents. Now these are weekly ETFs. And the prices are a little bit higher than what we were typically doing for weeklies, right? So Apple, Round Hill paid 75 cents last week. Their Amazon position paid, I believe, like 36 cents. If it's Berkshire, I'm not pronouncing it right. Berkshire, excuse me. Weekly ETF paid 20 cents. Coin, their version of Coin, weekly ETF paid 80 cents. These are weekly. Round Hill Hood, weekly ETF paid, look like that's $1.18. Meta paid 33. Netflix paid like 39. Nvidia 47. Palantir 64. And Tesla paid 30, maybe 36 or 38. It's hard to make that out. All right. Now I wanted to show you this. So I told you all, I mentioned that I had paid off my credit card with the funds from Robinhood, right? So here is my TransUnion credit report or FICO or credit report. You can see here is at 653. It was in this area at 640 to 641. And when I paid it, it jumped 13 points. You can see this. You can see here since April the 9th, pretty much no change. There's only been a 1 point change until I paid that off. And you can see in July the 8th, it jumped 13 points. So pretty good. And once I get to 700, it's going to open up some more money for me from another thing that I've been having in the background that I started on last year in March. And they've been waiting on me to get this credit score up. But anyway. All right. So I wanted to show this. All right. So another individual mentioned something about, he said, how could I be so calm? We'll see his comment when I get to the Q&A, but I got this slide here, so we're going to go over it right now. He said, how can you be so calm with, I believe he said, Coney or all your positions being down 15,000? And truly, it is a yield max mindset. It's mental and psychologically. But the last 4 or 5 years, I've paid my dues as far as losing money in the market and getting in a hole. But I'm starting to dig my way out, Lord's willing. But I have to give credit to, I have to thank the Lord for Chris saying, when I came across one of his videos that someone had introduced me. As I began to watch some of his videos, he talked about taking your emotions out of investing and not being an emotional investor. And so that, and listening to Stocks with Josh, Stock Mode, Kenny Graves, Uncle Larry, and a host of other people drops knowledgeable information out there. And, and just realizing that the value of your account may go down. Say, for instance, you got $20,000 invested and it's down at 15. A lot of people are going to feel bad being down 15. I understand that. But it's only the value that's gone down. You haven't lost anything until you sell, and you hadn't gotten any profit until you sell. And so a lot of people will see 15,000 like, oh, I need to get out before I lose my money. That is true if you was in something that was bogus and really was headed to bankruptcy, like Sears, for instance. If something go under like that for Sears, but if you was in like FedEx or Apple and it dropped 5%, 10%, you can rest assured that you're gonna get a bounce back, and recover. And so you don't panic. You just load up more and increase your position and lower your average cost, so that when it goes back up, you're in more profit. So to answer his question, I replied to his comments. We'll read it. But here you can see, if some of you been watching my videos, position in AMC. As you can see here, I have 10,001 share for an average cost of $9.90. Right. So you can see here, total gain. I'm down $65,000 in this account. Right. You can see just on Friday, it went up 34 cents, I believe 32 or 34 cents on Friday. So it gained $3,300 on Friday, right? Because one of the analysts gave it, AMC, a positive report, a $4 target. So it went up, boom, just like that. But I'm a ape. For most of you all who know what that is, you remember GameStop and AMC when it ran up back in 2021, right? If you've seen the movie Dumb Money, that talks about being diamond hands and apes, and we're holding this, waiting on the next short squeeze. And so that's really what got me in there when it ran up, But anyway, you can see I got 10,000 shares and I'm down $65, and I'm still holding. I hadn't sold because if I sell, that's a huge loss. So I'm waiting on the recover, and they did do a reverse split or something like that. And so I had to bring down my average cost because I want to be prepared. Should it ever make another run, I don't want to be like, oh, it's running and just break even and get my money out. I want to be in some nice profit. All right, next, this is showing my crypto.com account. As you can see, the total value right then at the time was $925. Balance was $45,609. I was up $1,400 for 3%. At that time, Bitcoin was 120,139, and we know that it's just gone up because we just looked at it earlier. But here's my Bitcoin position. You see, I have unrealized profit of over 5,000. My average cost is 40,000. Here is Ethereum, I believe. This is Ethereum. I'm up $940 in it. This one is Shiba Inu. I'm up $456 in that position. All right, this is Pepe. I'm up over almost $1,600 in that position, right? I've only invested $408 and I'm up almost $1,600. So I've pretty much tripled or quadrupled. Now, my biggest position that I hold in any crypto is Chronos, crypto.com. All right. So my average cost is basically 8 cents, right? Currently at almost 11 cents at the time of this screenshot. See here, I have only unrealized profit of $8,800. All right. And let's see what this is. Oh, so this is showing my total position almost. So I just wanted to point this out. So this shows 250 tokens or 250 shares of Crow, right? At an average cost of 26 cents, right? But if you look here, I have 296,867 tokens in Crow. So basically what that is, the 250 is how much I actually purchased. The 296, basically what is that? 46,000, right? Or 50, what's it two? Yeah, 46,000 tokens. So that's how much I've gained having my Chronos tokens staked. At some time they gave you special offers at 20% getting it staked, so you can put in however you want, how much the amount you want to get staked, and it was earning 20%, right? So I locked that in for like a year. Then they had some other opportunities that came up for 15%. I locked them in, and so boom, I've just been gaining all those tokens while having it staked. So basically, I didn't have to really buy any myself because each day I staked one. So each week, each day I was getting paid. Boom, 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 boom. It didn't, so I can get an average cost. So it brought my average cost from 26, as you can see here, down to 7 cents by getting it staked and racking it up. All right, so that takes care of that. Now we're back to our Excel sheet. All right. All right, so Excel sheet here. All right. All right, so active income for the month of July. We do have also the way my pay periods are aligning for the month of July for my active income. I'm actually going to get 3 checks this month. It's the way they're lining up on the payday, right? So as of right now, I've accumulated $3,800.66 for the month of July as for income from my employer. All right, passive income for this month. As you can see, last week we was at $1,261.50. We earned, I believe, $148.80. I believe I had posted I made $149.20. And when I went back and looked at the screenshot, I believe it was YBTC was in there twice. So I added it twice. It was like 32 cents times 2. So I subtracted 32 cents and it ended up being $148 and something. I readjusted that. So now passive income is at $1,410.38 for the month of July. All right. All right. So my total active income year to date is at $29,980.05 minus my ties. You can see here. My passive income has been, to my calculation, $45,993.60. So a combined income of $75,973. My average active income stands at $42.82. My passive income stands at $65.70. That's what I'm averaging per month right now, right? All right, so my prior margin balance stood at $92,694.26. Now you can see it has gone up to $101,431.47, right? All right, because I bought some ULTY, I bought some MSTY, and I bought some SOFI. So that increased almost another $10,000 added to that, right? All right, so here you can see these are credit card debt, these are loans, these are HELOCs, these are personal line of credit that stand here and here, and this is the interest that I've acquired year to date, right? So this amount here that you see crossed out with the background white and the fonts red, that is the credit card that I paid off. I paid that off, transferred this 6,000 right here over into this account and pay that off. So our next target is probably going to be this 13, this 14 or this 13. One teller of these will be my next victim, right? And the strategy is if I pay this one off, right? And I may not be able to do it this month, so it may be next month, right? Because I got to get the withdrawal balance high. So if Coney pays out over $1, that's gonna be nice. I'll be able to do it, right? And then what I'm gonna do, say for instance, if I pay this card off, right? Then if I wait a month or two, this card should have a balance transfer become available. And what I would do, I would transfer the balance from either this card or this card to this card, right? So not only will I get rid of this balance, I'm going to transfer one of those balance to here, probably for anywhere from 8 to 12 months interest free, right? So not only would I get rid of that interest, but I'm going to transfer a balance and as if it comes available, right? And that's going to eliminate that interest acquiring for about 8 to 12 months or maybe even 18 months, depending on what's available. All right. So I changed the color here and crossed it out. And I also put it here as a negative to cancel out this balance. So that balance minus this is 0, right? So it's not adding to the overall total, right? All right, so our Robinhood goes at $30 currently. Our Robinhood interest year to date is at $1,603.19 for an average of $267.20 a month. All right, so that may go up to about 3 something now that we at 101,000. Our 401k loan is at $22,977. Excuse me. All right, and so our total debt, grand total currently now, is at $302,296.23. Yes, that is a big difference from the 260 we started with in January, right? So we're supposed to be going down, but we've increased the debt, right? But it's a strategy. We'll see. We're going to get it paid down, and I'm not too worried right now. All right. So that's where we stand with that. As you can see here, the first 6 months of interest was at 13,000, over 13,000. And starting now, we have acquired almost $2,600 in interest. All right. So total 12 months, we're at $15,874. That is just interest alone on these outstanding debts. So this is why we're trying to eliminate that, right? Because if I didn't have that debt, because literally other than the debt you see there, I don't have any monthly expenses other than electricity, internet, cell phone bill, gas, and food. That's it. That's it. So once I get these loans and things paid for, see that 15,000 that I've been paying in interest, guess what gonna happen with that? Yes, start investing it instead of wasting it. Or put up Well, I got to do some other things. I got to get a savings. I don't have 6 months, 12 months savings saved up. I'm literally been walking on eggshells since November. I mean, well, actually longer than that, but definitely since I started doing this. I did have some saved up. I don't now. I've used it just scratching by because I didn't want to withdraw money out of Robinhood. All right. So year to date, as you can see, our withdrawals from my Robinhood account stands at 87.48. That's what we've withdrawn from that account this year. Let's go back and see where it currently sits at. All right, so right now you see it at 77,931. So 77,932 now, still going up. All right, what did I say that was? 87.48. So we said plus 87.48. Should I say that right? Yep, 87.48. So that's what our account would be looking like if we hadn't withdrawn that money. We would be at $86,679. Now, the 77,000 is an all-time high itself. The 86 would be an all-time high, but considering that we withdraw the $700 and our account is at 77,000 still, and last week was at 75, so we're still at an all-time high. And you can say that's due to Coney. Coney's still going up. It's at $9.95 right now. So if it continues to run up, given I've heard some target prices on Coinbase going to $700. It's at $3 something now. So if that's the case, then there's a good chance that Coney will at least get close to $20 again. Possibly. I don't know. Just saying. Don't know. All right. All right. So let's go back here. So right now you can see my total, they call it total cost basis for Coney at 114,000. MSTY is at 26,000. And we were about to break even with our if we got paid next month, we would have literally been at our break even and had gotten all our initial money back. I had an opportunity to buy some, and I did, so that took it from $20,000 up to 26. So now we have a few more months before we get all our initial money back, because we was about to be at a printing machine stage, right? All right. So now let's get to our Divi tracker, and we're going to be moving right along. All right. So Divi tracker says our annual dividend is at 102,000. It thinks that we're averaging about 85 a month in dividends. See, it's saying that we have 202,000 invested. So what they're doing, let's see here. So what they're saying is the 101 and 410.72 plus the 76,000 that my account, that they're saying my account value is, right? Oh, got that wrong. 74.36, right? Boom. All right. And then they're saying this amount here, this is the amount that I'm down in my account, right? Combined. Coney is 14 last time we looked at it. So that means I have my other positions have a value of being down 10,000. So Coney's down 14, the other positions combined are down. So Coney carries a lot of weight. So if we say at 24,043.16, bam, that puts us there. So that's what they're saying, the total investment. So it's saying that I've gotten $202,000 invested in my dividend portfolio, right? Now, all this, you got to remember, all this is coming from just, what is it, about $30,000? I had $5,000 in there initially, and then I transferred 26,000 from my 401k, and you can see that my 401k is down from 26,000 to 22,000, and y'all can see the dividends that I've made off that. And what helped that is not So if I was just trying to put cash in there, it wouldn't be nowhere. But I was able to use margin, turn margin on. That 30,000 became 60,000, and I started investing it, and this is where we are now. All right. All right, let's hit snowball analysis. All right, so you can see here Coney 114,000 cost basis, Misty 26,000. What did ULTY? Is it not showing ULTY at $1,000? It has an up. Oh, there it is right there. All right, so it's showing it at 1,000. So minus the negative capital of 15,000, and then you add back the 1390, gives us a total profit of $32,000 in Coney. So basically saying this is the dividends I received. This is how much I'm down in Coney. So you subtract the 15 from that, and then you add this. Well, let's say you add this 46 and this positive 13, right? Then you subtract the 15, that leaves this 32. Hope that's not confusing, right? So with Misty and basis at 26,000, as I stated, we received 19,000 in dividends. Guys, profit at 1,600. We have total profit of 17,000. AMD, we still ain't got that fixed. I hope to get that fixed someday. Tesla showing total profit of $471. SMCY $1,100. Platy $2,400. So with Platy, that's 15. We received $2,100 so far in dividends, and we're only down $4.99. So good position to be in. ULTY, $7,600 invested. Dividends received almost 2,000. We're down 13, and we have $128 in the positive. All right. So total, we won't go over every little nick and cranny. I'll go back and move it slowly, because some of these are just, look at there, just one. I'm testing them out. That's Doge, right? So a lot of them ain't really worth going over. But altogether, Coinbase got us at 200,000, whereas Divi Tracker has us at 202,000, right? Current values 179,000. So dividends received 76,981, $657 in profit and realized profit and loss, and total profit is $57,252, right? Okay. All right, so let's get to the Q&A. It's at 51 minutes. Ooh, that's way too long. All right, let's get to the Q&A right quick. We're going to try and run through this, hopefully get it done in 20, 30 minutes. All right. Lone Scout said, thank you for your update and info. I said, you're welcome. Thanks for stopping by and viewing the content. Stay tuned. 360 said, I have a question. He said, I've seen you use 92,000 in margin. How long will it take to pay it off? I said, currently my margin is actually at 101,000. Stay tuned. Let's figure this out. Shouldn't take long with the amount of dividends I get, but it depends on a lot of variables. So I haven't sit down and tried to figure that out yet, since I've just purchased a more ETF the other day. He said, hey boss, I wish the best of luck to you. I've been watching you since April, and seeing your journey has been inspiring. Thank you, sir. I said, pray for me that the Lord will lead and guide me on what to do. Thank you, brother. 2345 says, I only have two YieldMax funds, and that is Coney and LFGY. I said, that's great. Hope Coney can still go up and provide some nice dividends. And LFGY has been very consistent and solid with their dividends. My good friend Alan said, YieldMax and ULTY are my top YieldMax holdings. Been going in and out of Coney and Misty. I'm assuming he's talking about he's been swing trading those. I said, thank you for the update, man. He said, thank you for the update, man. I said, Alan, I got my mic there. I said, thank you, sir. I've increased my position in ULTY, looking for more opportunities to increase more. Also, it's been brought to my attention that TS weekly round hill is at around 964, paying 29 cents weekly. Now I'll be watching. All right, let's look at that right quick. While since I said, is this it? Nope. TSYY. Granted shares. All right, so it's 964. You know, why you're not selecting the dividends? So hit refresh here. All right. So yes, it's been averaging about 99 cents ever since they went weekly. So they went weekly starting June the 6th. All right. Calvo says, do you have a top 5 of your favorite? Do you have a top 5 of your favorites? I listed more than 5. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 here, I think. I said mine's are Coney, Misty, Plady, Huey, SMCY, Kavana, and Morrow. Those are my top dogs right now. And I would like to eventually get them all up to a certain position, but it's going to take time, but we're going to get there. All right. Next we got, all right, for week 44 video. My good friend Dennis says, your Midwest brother. I enjoy your videos. I'm buying more NVIDIA, Coney, and Tesla. I like your hour-long videos. I listen to it while I'm driving to work. I learn more and it helped me with my investment journey. God bless. Thank you, my Midwest brother. If you listen to this as you're traveling, be safe, stay focused, man, and don't work too hard. I said, I'm truly encouraged. I'm truly encouraged to hear that you're building your positions and that the video are part of your daily drive. That means a lot. Just be sure to stay focused on the road while you stacking knowledge. Keep pushing forward on your investment journey. God bless. Brooks says, Holdy, Misty, Bitto, YieldMax, QDTE, Mist, Coney, no margin. Account at 55,000. I said, great job. Make it work. Make it grow. That account, grow that account. He said, appreciate your content, brother. Keep going. I said, thank you, sir. I appreciate you stopping by and watching. Stay tuned. 2352 said, good. Craig says, I like cost per share. Thank you for your help. I say you're welcome. I'm not quite what he means when he said I like cost per share. Yes, ASD for life says thanks for the info. I said you're welcome. Hope you found something that was informative. Stay tuned. He says, show man, I've been around for a while. He says I've been around for a while just watching, keeping it up. You motivated me to get back into the game. Let's go, my brother. Let's go. Good old friend Brent says, thank you for the transparency on your positions. I've been investing in ETFs since January and have learned plenty. All my bills and has money left over to pay credit card debt. We are in the golden time to make money. Salute. He's got 5 likes on that video. People like what you said, Brent. I said, thank you, sir, for stopping by during the content. I tried to be as transparent as possible without revealing sensitive information about myself. I look forward to that day, Brent, where my positive income is my monthly income, replacing my active income. Clue says return on capital pays net loss. I said facts. And then I got to thinking, I'm not sure if I was agreeing to something I understood or not. But anyway. All right. All right. So 352 says thank you. I said you're welcome. And it looked like this was all 8 days ago, right? We done with that. All right, let's hit our shorts, comments, Q&A. All right. All right, E-Man said, how much do they pay per month? And this is a video that I did Friday, a brief update on MSTY, Palantir, and Hui, right? I said they don't have a set price they pay each month. They pay based upon the premium that they collect for the cover calls. The price ranges from $2 up to $7 for these particular ones, and some pay as low as 9 cents to $1.50. 4309 says, keep building, man. You a motivation. Keep building, man. You a motivation. I said, thank you, sir. Appreciate you dropping by, watch the content. The more we know, the more we grow. Let's get that money. Total Property Services says, the best thing you could do now to survive a market downturn, excuse me, downturn, is start paying down your margin with your dividends. He's absolutely correct. So you can always keep that income and don't lose it during the market crash from the margin call. Let your dividends start paying down your margin. He is absolute correct. I say you're 100% correct. Thumbs up. But first, I'm going to pay down debt outside of Robinhood account while simultaneously, if I get that word right, paying down the margin, splitting my dividends into thirds. So my objective is to pay down debt outside of Robinhood, as y'all saw in the Excel spreadsheet, pay down the margin, and nibble at positions. But I can't do number one, which is pay down the debt outside Robinhood, without doing number two, paying down the margin. I said, we'll figure it out. This individual said, cover calls on them. He said, what's that? UKA, you a cap, you a kip. He says, cover calls on them as well. You don't lose on dividends, but it's more advanced. And I know what he's talking about, but I don't know how to do cover calls yet. Well, I won't say I don't know. I was taking another class, but it was a more conservative type deal. But anyway, when I get some of this debt paid down and get some time, I'm gonna look at it, learn that. User GD said, how, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the video, if you all are still watching. He said, how you so calm when you down nearly in all your holdings? You down 15,000 just in Coney alone. Now he got some response from other individuals, and these guys are on it. I love their comments. Average 2003 says, this is how great investors are made. This is how great investors are made. It takes a strong will to not panic when your account go into the negative. It's all part of the process. Also, he may be down in that position, but the dividends he's making of that ETF is great. He got 3 likes on that comment. David said the dividends he racks in every month on Coney alone are like 5,000 at the lowest, and he's been holding it for a while. Overall, he's still positive on the day. And just to add to that, so Coney, right? I have 10,000 shares, right? So if Coney gets to the point to where it's just paying 25 cents, look, I'm still collecting $2,500. If it started doing that in the crypto winter, that's $2,500. That is, as y'all can see, my active income. That's more than one of my active income paychecks. And you got to be reminded that my active income paycheck, I've got all my dependencies and taxes on hold right now. So it's not taking any of that out. So once I put that back on, my active check is going to be real small, right? And this is outpacing that. Boom. Right? So let's say, even if it paid the lowest, which is like what ULTY is pay, right? I still should have about $90, right? $950. That's still almost $1,000 a month. You can't beat that, right? All right, right here. All right, so total property service says, When you buy into YieldMax or around here, you're not buying into this to be up or down. You're buying into it for the cash flow long term. So the amount you're up or down or the amount you're down is really irrelevant because you're not going to sell. You're looking for that weekly or monthly income for life. Facts. I replied to all of them and I said, first off, guys, let me say I really, really appreciate the comments. These guys are spot on. They're 100% correct. All three of them. They know what they're talking about. It's not a loss until I sell. The value may be down, but if I haven't sold, I haven't lost 15K. So you have to take the emotion out of investing. If not, you're going to have a stressful day. Chris Sane helped me to see and understand that. I myself have come to love red days because it's like the golden rule says, buy low, sell high. Now, I haven't always done that because of fear of missing out. I said the only other thing I would have to say, because these three guys have already beautifully stated it. We apes have diamond hands. I've been down 71,000 in AMC, so 15,000 is a breeze. With AMC, I have to wait for the value of the stock to return to recoup my money. But with these dividends, even if the price never returns, eventually I'll get my money back through total return with the dividends. So it's a YieldMax mindset. I paid my dues. Now it's time to reap the rewards. I really do appreciate you guys. Y'all explained it really, really well. All right, this video, nice 6778 says how much 1,000 per month pays. And I think this was on a responding to ULTY. So I gave him the calculation based on the monthly pay and weekly pay and monthly pay. And I told him to check out the yield Maint by Bad Financial Decisions. Andrew said, fire, brother. I said, yes, sir. Let's get it. It's too much money out here to be made. Money says, great job. I said, thanks. Appreciate the love, brother. I see you. Just giving a shout out to you. Andrew says, hope it doesn't drop to $3. I said, why do you think that? He says, it's been dropping ever since it originated. I just bought some too. Danny says, steady between $6 and $6.30 since the strategy change a few months ago. But yeah, I hope it doesn't drop as well. Troy says, I'm sitting on about 4,500 shares of ULTY and loving it. And I replied to Troy, I said, very good, man. I'm hoping to increase my position near that amount down the road sometime. If I figure that's about, I'm talking about his, I said, I figure that's about $700 a month. I said, that's nice. Also just got wind that TSYY 965 per share is paying 29 cents a week now. I said, Danny, I'm hoping to get me a good position before it runs up. Instant profit in value. Andrew, I said, I'm hoping we're near the bottom and we'll have appreciation going forward. Andrew said, it's a cover call strategy. So if they aren't changing their delta to a more conservative delta, the price will continue to drop. All right, let's go here. Kerry said, good stuff. Good stuff. I said, thank you, sir. I'm trying with the help of the Lord. Stay tuned. Let's see how it turns out. Absolute Truity, Absolute Truity, or Absolute Ruty says, sold all my Coney at break even. I think a rug pull is coming on coin and will rebuy at lower price again. The cryptic at the White House. So all the good news is probably what sparked the run up in the BCT this week. So next week it will sell with the news event. I said, Coney is a long-term hold for me. I'm here for total return, not the growth. Now, I will consider selling half for Coney when Coney gets above $20. But until that happens, I'm here for the monthly income, the cash flow. Mike Lessard. Mike, if you listen, brother. Woo, boy. Slow down, Mike. Technically, I would be 82,000. I withdrew 6,000 the other week, remember? He said, true that. I'm about to try margin of 12 G's for the first time soon. Just waiting for my credit score to make it up 10 points because I know the hard inquiry will get a ding. And he said, true that. I remember you squashed a credit card payoff. He said, I'm about to try 12 G's margin loan soon. Only thing is I don't want the hard inquiry to ding cause then it'll be at 4 years. I think he's talking about it'll be on the report for 4 years. Sure, why? But my comments keep erasing. I'm not sure what that was about, but I replied to him, oh man, if you're going to use margin from Robinhood, there is no ding or hard inquiry, my brother. I said, that is another thing that is beautiful about Robinhood margin. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff with this. I guess that's something I forgot to mention in my videos. Thanks for commenting on this, and I'll be sure to mention in week 45, which is this video. I said, man, you should have I said, man, you could have a 300 credit score, and none of that matters with Robinhood margin. All right. He said, will do, my friend. I said, he said, my orders for the AM are all queued up. Whoop, whoop. Oh, my goodness. Michael Saylor said he will be buying a pile of Bitcoin again this week for Misty. Will pop big time. All right. Key of truth, a nugget of truth says, I think I mentioned this in the first part of the video. He said that's BS. Maintenance ratio, it's still at 70%. Think you might have just gotten enough money in your account for Robinhood to give you better treatment. I said, thanks for pointing that out. I didn't know until you mentioned it. This is the message I got from my email. So I put what my email stated in there. I don't know if you had a chance to read this, but yeah, I appreciate Nugget of Truth for pointing that out. Didn't have a clue about that. Let's see. We just do that? Yep, we just did that one. All right. We're almost out of here. All right. Kendrick said, great video. How long did it take you to get to 700 shares in Misty? I started in March and have 94 shares, so trying to get a realistic time frame. So I told him, appreciate you stopping by and watching the content. Stay tuned. Looks like I made my first purchase of 420 shares on August 7, 2024, and I just made a purchase that day of 248 shares, giving me 1,000 shares throughout this process. Dividend Day says, how do you pay the margin back? I said, when you get your dividend, it reduces the margin account on its own, automatically done by Robinhood. The second way would be to deposit cash in account. So when you get paid in dividends to you, it is as if you deposit cash into the account. It automatically done by Robinhood. How do I get margin? Do you just deposit money in the account? Let's deposit more cash or see, I misunderstood that. Yes, deposit more cash or dividends pay will increase your margin allowance. That's how I get more margin for my dividend. Let the dividends build up because that's like depositing cash. He said, oh, wow, I'll get to 10K Misty in no time then. I'll be smart about it. Thanks. I guess he understood because he was asking me how to get margin, and I should have told him he needed at least $2,000 in the account and then you turn it on. But anyway, I think he figured it out. The Bender says, nice. Are you living financially free at this point? I said, no, currently paying off debt outside Robinhood. See this video for details. Uh, Tommy says, how much MSTY have? How much MSTY you have? I said 765 shares at that price. And this individual said 27 shares. Oh no. So then I updated this comment just a minute ago. Of course, now I have 1,000 shares. All right. I think that's it. Yep. That's 8 days ago. All right. So we almost out here. Let's hit our post comments. All right. All right. This individual, 2345, says, stack that money. I said, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Stack it once I get this debt paid. He says, thank you for your content. Please make a video for YieldMax or ULTY. YieldMax versus ULTY. Which one is better? I said, thank you for dropping by and watching. Stay tuned. Now, I don't have any videos on those two, but here are a couple on YouTube that I found. All right. TSYY is a good one. Pays every week now. He said, are you sure it's weekly? He says, yeah, look up the ticker. It was monthly and just started paying 25 cents per share every week. Or may not be worth it, may or may not be worth it. He said, I've got 800 locked up on it and get 20 receivable every week, but my cost basis moves up every month. He said, thank you. I said, thank you, sir. It looks very good. I keep my eye on it. If there's a strategy out there for me. Backer says, on your videos, you should do more updates like weekly or monthly on your returns, but also make sure to include the return with the dividends, the interest earned. So blah, 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 blah. He says, so if you're lost 20% on the asset stock price but gained 5% worth of dividends, you're really on the down 50%, like a recap on your losing in earnings. And I told him, check my weekly videos, right? Mike Lesser. Mike. He says, loose change is perfect to add to big brother. He said, people don't realize what a mere 1% can do after sitting for 20 years. So yeah, I heard about the individual that had the Bitcoin at 79 cents and it just had been open, gaining 20,000 Bitcoins the other day worth 20 billion. He said, oh yeah, that's a 6 score. Yes, he went to the moon on that one, brother. He's grand and margin to buy Hui. What do you think, bro? Fun is flying high for real. I said he said Robinhood money. He said Robinhood money to invest in them in a way seems like a no-brainer. I replied to an earlier comment of yours. Please read. I believe you'll like it. No credit deemed, no credit reports. Just thank you for the tip, my brother. Going to try it now. And and then I said, I can't tell you to do that with margin. Now, if you know how to play margin, just be wise and don't use more than 20 to 40%. Cause who is still new, buy a small position on the EX state and just see how it moves before jumping into it big time. He said, I'm going to get like 4 or 5 G's at a time and pay it off, then go again, rinse and repeat. I said, I just applied. He said, I just applied, bro. And they gave me 82 G. So that means he had about 41 G in his account already. He said, I just applied, bro, and they gave me 82 G. No, they gave him 82 G's. Is that right? Oh, if they gave him 82 G's, then he had 40. I guess that's right. Double. Anyway, I'll get missed instead of BTC, but the 70% maintenance fee sounds brutal. What do you think? Yeah, that's what I was letting them know. Hey, yeah, I said it is that they'll use 70% of the 80, which will be brutal. Don't do it. He said we can acquire MSTY by ourselves with monster divvies we get anyway. He said we are both going to hit 100 grand in a jiffy.
I was worried about it. Like he's getting too happy. I didn't want him going.
What I did, I said, I repeat, do not use margin for anything that requires between 40 and 70% maintenance ratio. You'll get killed if the stock price drop. He said, my new plan is to buy Hoovy, Platy, Chippy, and Coney, cause IOC is wanting 40% maintenance. I said, okay, be careful. All right, let's see here. Where we at? Did I skip this one? Is that where we were? All right. He says, Pondexter says, you think tonic coin going up? And I just let him know that I hadn't really been following it since August of last year. All right, I think we did that one, right? Yep. I think we did that one just then. Yep. So we are here. All right. 1779 says, surprised that Snowy was so low, even looking at the lack of positive volatility. I guess that's the way it goes. I said, yes, that was a little surprising. I'm not sure what they did this time with collecting a premium. 2352 says, thank you. I said, you're welcome. The Force says, laughing out loud, clowns, you left off the best performing ULTY. And I said, no, I didn't. You didn't click on the photo to see it. So yeah, you have to definitely click on those photos to see because it don't show them all the time. All right, let's see here. All right, this individual said, is Misty a weekly dividend giver? I said, no, it pays every 4 weeks. Ackman said, is that two different accounts you have paying dividends? I said, yes, one is Robinhood and the other is Charles Schwab. He said, is the margin, oh, I didn't see this one. He said, is the margin work, isn't it risky? All right. Says, should I get rid of YMAG for YMAX? Don't have that. I don't know. I personally like YMAX better, even though YMAG is the Magnificent Seven. Individual says, how much are you holding to generate these? And I gave him the breakdown right here. Boom. All right. All right. So D said, good move. And he's talking about me paying off the credit card. I said, thank you, sir. I hope that the Lord, I can make a couple more so I can get these outside debt paid. Because once I do, it's off to the moon. Private Life says, you use your credit card to invest as well. I have in time past years ago. I don't recommend that. Mike Lessard. All right. He says, I'm doing the same thing as you, but instead of using margin, I live off 100% 0% interest rate for a couple of years to put my entire pay from work into most of the same ETF you got. He says, now I'm retired wicked early in life and making about 5 G's a month plus nearly no debt. These formulas do work, but many are too scared to try it. Oh, so you already know how to do this, Mike. I say congratulations, Mike, on your early retirement. Being debt free, making 5K a month. If you got some advice, we're all listening. I said I agree. If people would just sit down and run the numbers and forget about the traditional way of regarding dividends investment and have an open mind, I do believe they can see that it'll work. Yes, I do hear the fear resonating from their comments, and I believe it comes from some bad experiences with investing and I've what we've been traditionally told. I just know these are not my grandpa's dividends. I appreciate you dropping by. I love the comments. I look forward to joining you someday in the retirement field. He says, thank you, my G. I appreciate the love, and I'll be a lifelong sub now. After you break free from the 9 to 5, he says, nope, wish I had the other tips to offer too. Laughing out loud, he said, my only difference in portfolio compared to yours is I also have JP, NVIDIA plus 100 shares of NVIDIA, Mr. and Circle. I'm not sure Avon or what that is, and a few others for profit to take once I let it sit a while and I'm super old. I love seeing you kill off the 6 credit card one hit, bro. Appreciate the love, man. He said, oh, also I've got these two as well to send profits into a more stable. Okay. Okay. So he does have experience. Okay. I was worried. I forgot I had commented with him earlier in the week. Okay. I feel better now. So he knows what he's doing. Even though initially he said he wasn't using margin, but now he just decided to use margin. Uh, guy said, dang, bro, that was smooth. I said, yes, sir. One down, a few more to go. APC, my friend says, awesome, smart move. I'm working on buying Misty Cone to pay down my margin, the car payment next year. I'll start working on paying. I'll start working on paying all my living expenses. Keep it going. He said, you keep it going. You've been doing great so far. Keep it up. I'm looking forward to 2 distributions from Misty in August. I hope we get some good distributions on pace for 23-25 of Misty by December. This individual said, congratulations, blessings. Man, I appreciate you guys' positive feedback, man. Y'all inspiring me, keeping me going. All right. That's it. That's it. Yep, that's it. All right. Talking a little bit on there on the front end and cause this video to be pretty long. Still watching, I thank you all for all your comments, positive, negative. You guys are giving some great feedback, and you all are jumping there and answering some of the other people's questions. I appreciate that. Let's see what this week has in store with the tariffs talked about. Take the market, but look like crypto may be ready to break out. And if so, we may have some nice dividends coming forward. All right, remember, investing is a mindset. It's a yield max mindset. Let's get it. I'm out.